Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. Let me just check once. So today anyway we are going to discuss about the genetics. So just a second. Okay, I'm audible, right? Okay, so let's get started then. Just a second. Alright, so today we'll discuss about the genes and alleles from the genetics chapter, which is of ICSE class 10. Alright, so before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So join with us on Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC both. So this link you can find in the description box. So go to the description box. You will find the link of Unacademy channel. You will find the community link, you will find the Bucks Bounty link and also my special class links. Okay, so here you can learn from your favorite educator for free. So these are basically free classes which are conducted on the platform, so that is Unacademy platform. So all you have to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up the free sessions, and depending on your comfort you can go for the plus classes, that is basically subscribe classes. So you can learn from your favorite educator for free, engage with educators via polls, okay, and also you can clear your doubt in the live special classes. So basically what like any doubt that you have, okay, so in that basically we'll be covering only a certain percentage of topics here in special classes. Okay, so what you can do is, there is during the live class, that is during the special class itself, so there is a question tab available. So you can just click on that question tab, and you even have an option to attach an image and send it to the educator, or you can even type in your question as well and send it to the educator during a live session. So they'll be getting a notification that the learner has asked the doubt and will be clearing your doubt. So now for the top special classes, yes, again you have to find the links in the description and start taking up these free sessions. Okay, and this is the one I was talking about, the plus classes. So these are subscription classes, that is, we call them as plus classes, where you can learn live from the comfort of your home. So you need not go, like, after your school. So this is basically the plus classes which are conducted. So this is after your school hours only. So you need not go anywhere for tuitions. So you can basically sit in your home and learn from the online tutor, online educators itself. Okay, so you can just, this is the best option available at this time. So this is learn live from the comfort of your home, unlimited access to all the courses. Now different educators are there and all of them will come up with their own courses, so you will have access to all of their courses. Okay, and other than that, top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, so that is nothing but Unacademy platform. Regular doubt clearing will be done, that is after about every 3 session. The 4th session will be your doubt clearing session. So whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubt in this doubt clearing session. Okay, so this is basically after about every 3 session. The 4th session is a doubt clearing session. Then 100% syllabus coverage will be done here. Okay, and also mentorship and guidance will be given. Study material will be giving in the form of a PDF itself. The practices are given, live test series are conducted. So we have a batch in English, we have a batch in Hindi. So basically you will have access to those batches as well. So once you basically take the subscription, and then there is daily practice section, weekly mock test series are conducted, live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series are also conducted. Alright, so this is about the Unacademy plus subscription plans, which is at an affordable price. So this is for class 9 we have, as well as for class 10. So you can just, and also there is a price hike, so you can basically take the subscription from your Unacademy Learners app itself. So all you have to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and start taking up the free sessions, and depending on your comfort you can go for this one. So today we are going to discuss about the chapter, so that is basically genetics. Okay, and let's see what exactly the genetics has to offer for us. Basically, because since we are studying about the genes, and whatever we are now, the facial features or the body features that we have, so it can be external or internal, so whatever we are, so it is all usually most of the cases in our body, so especially the body features, so these are basically by the expression of a gene itself. So now there are different individuals who are having a curly hair, a straight hair, wavy hair texture might be there, so black eye, blue eye, brown eye, and let's say the nose is basically sharp nose might be there and other than that the arrangement, eyebrows arrangement, so whatever particular body feature that is there, so all that is depending on the gene which is expressing, and based on that we would get the eye color, complexion, texture, the hair texture, the skin texture, so everything is depending on the gene itself. Okay, so today we are studying about the genetics, mainly the genes and alleles, how exactly these genes are alleles, what we call, which are basically alternative forms itself, and they will be expressing a particular characteristic trait. Okay, so we'll discuss about that. Just a second, let me drink some water. Okay, I'm audible, right? I'm just checking it here once. Yeah, all right. So inheritance, so what exactly is inheritance? So inheritance, when we mention, so this is basically is passing of characters. Okay, so what character traits, so what exactly is a character or a trait? So now let's say there is a particular character that we are trying to study. Okay, so what character is that now? So character, when we mention, so character is basically any body feature, so we can say examples can be height, examples can be the eye color, we can say. All right, so then you can say there is a hair texture that we can mention. All right, and other than that the complexion of the skin. All right, so this is skin complexion that I'm talking about. So these are all different characters. So in a character you will find an alternative form there. Okay, so that alternative form of a character, so there is an alternative form or alternative form, okay, which is basically, we can say, we can just call them as a trait now. Okay, so the traits are basically the alternative forms of a character now. So let's say the character example that we are taking now. Okay, so character example, we can say eye color we are taking. Okay, so now in that you can find two of the traits. All right, so what exactly is that trait now? So trait is basically The alternative form of a character is a trait where we can say that eye color. So in that you can find a black color eye. Okay, so there is black color eye you can find, and also you can find there is a brown colored eye as well. Okay, so there is black colored eye and there is brown colored eye. So these are basically the traits. So traits are basically in this character you can find the alternative forms, and those we call as a trait. Now who is going to express that trait? So that is basically the character is coded by the gene, and that gene when we mention, so it will have alternative form just like the trait which is found in the characters. So here you can find a allele there. Okay, so this is basically a allele which where the allele is expressing for the black color. Okay, so another allele is expressing for the brown color there. Okay, so what exactly does that mean now? So here you can see gene is there. Just a second. Alright, so there is a gene. Okay, and when we mention gene, so gene is the one which is expressing for a character. So now character overall is what? Eye color. So in eye color, it's not that one individual is gonna always have black color only, blue color only, brown color. So there are alternative forms. So different people are having a different colorations of eye. Okay, so depending on the melanin pigment. So for that some protein has to be produced, a pigment has to be produced, so there is a variation in color that you can find. Okay, so now you know what is the amount of this pigment produced. One second, I'll just drink water. I just came from outside and I had a session immediately. Like I just reached here at 5:15 and my session was exactly at 5:15, and that's the reason I'm a little in like hurry burry type of. Just now I came. So anyway, I started I think about around 5:20 itself because I had to on my laptop and other things. All right, so let's see this. So gene is coding for the character, and alternative forms of genes are what? They are alleles, and alleles are coding for what? Alleles are coding for those traits, that is alternatives of alternative forms of a character are traits, and these traits are coded by the allele. Okay, so in that case the gene is having alternative form allele, and these alleles are coding for the different traits that you can find, and that's the reason the alternative form here is the trait. So same way, if I have to write, the gene is having a alternative form, and that alternative form or alternate form is basically a allele there. Okay, so this one is the allele. So now allele when we mention, so the allele will code for the specific trait. So here what exactly is mentioned? Inheritance is passing of character, that is traits, from parents to the progeny. So you can see passage of these, like how exactly they are moving. So now you know when the fertilization occurs, so there is a sperm and the ovum that they'll combine. So what exactly is happening? The parental genes are coming through the sperm and through the ovum. Okay, and there is a formation of the zygote, and this zygote which is formed, so that is having a gene from the mother as well as from the father. So that means what? There is a character, there is a trait that is being passed from generation to the next generation, and that itself is the one which we are trying to study. So basically it is a inheritance. So inheritance is passing of character trait, that is from parents to the progeny. So you can see the characters, all the traits are being passed from parents to the progeny. So that is in the form of a chromosome which are basically obtained through the egg and the sperm there. Okay, so that is from one generation to the next. So now this process is called as the heredity. Okay, so what exactly is the process? So the process name is basically heredity, and the passing of character trait from parents to the progeny, so that we call as inheritance. And inheritance is studied by the branch of genetics. So under genetics itself, we'll be studying the heredity, we'll be studying about the inheritance pattern. All right, so though the progeny is having major characteristics of the species, so there are slight differences from the parents called as variations. Okay, so what exactly is the meaning of this one? So progeny is having a major characteristic, okay, that is of the species. Like humans are giving birth to a human. So this human who has taken birth from a human, so this would look like a human itself. So it wouldn't look somewhat like an alien or a dog or a monkey or anything like that basically. So whatever parents are there, so those parents are giving a birth to a similar type of, like it is, which is having a major characteristic of that particular species itself, but the slight differences you can find from their parents. So these are parents, and let's say the child is there. So this child is not completely resembling mother, this child is not completely resembling father. Okay, so it has got the mix up of these two parents, and there is a new progeny which is produced, that is it is different from its parents. Okay, why? Look why. So basically genotypically, phenotypically, so this is going to be different. All right, so there are slight differences, so that is from parent, and that we call as the variation there. So you can also find differences between children, so that is who are belonging to the same parent, but yes, you can see there's differences, and that is mainly because of the crossing over, where the combination of genes you can find. Okay, so let's have a look at this, the chromosome and genes. Is any of you any doubt? If you guys are having any doubt, please ask. Alright, so no doubts then. Okay, I'll just continue with this. So now, when we mention about the genetics, just a second. Yeah, so chromosomes and genes. So genes are carried within chromosome. So this is basically which are in the cell nucleus. So that means what? Now genes are there, okay, and these are where exactly? So there is a chromosome. Let me just draw one chromosome as such. Okay, so this is a chromosome now. So genes are carried within the chromosome. So you can find a coiled and a supercoiled DNA inside this chromosome, right? So this is a coiled and a supercoiled DNA that you can find. And now this coiled and supercoiled DNA, which is there, just a second. Yeah, so now this coiled and supercoiled DNA which is there, so you can find, so now this is a coiled and supercoiled DNA. So now this thread what you see here, the one which is available, so that might be a gene which might be coding for a specific feature. So let me just highlight that so that you understand. So now this part of this chromosome or the DNA. So this part is the one, let's say that is a gene, and that gene is coding for what? That gene is basically, let's say again the same example. So that gene might be coding for eye color. So based on that you can see a variation. So genes are carried within chromosomes which are in the cell nucleus. So genes are segments of DNA. So you can find these are the segments of DNA, and there are thousands of genes in each chromosome. So you can find thousands of genes. So that is only for one chromosome. So that means you can just imagine we have as such 46 chromosomes, right? So now out of this 46 chromosomes, so what is mentioned here, so genes are segment of DNA, and there are thousands of genes that you can find in each chromosome. So that means what? Now the single chromosome, so it is not just having a coding, gene for coding a eye color, but yes, of course, this can have 1,000 other body features as such. Okay, so now based on that itself, there is an expression of the genes that would depend on. So genes are segments of DNA, and there are thousands of genes in each of chromosome. So now there are 23 pairs, which is basically 46 chromosome in a human cell. All right, any doubt? Any doubt till here? So you can find total of how many chromosomes? So 46 chromosome in a cell. So that is half. So that is basically based on egg is having 23. The sperm is having 23 chromosome. So when they both combine together, the zygote which is produced, so that zygote is basically having a 46 chromosome, which is the normal number, like normal human chromosomal number. So in case of human it is, so 23 chromosomes are coming from mother. Okay, so this one 23 chromosomes here are coming from the father, where the combination of the progeny, so whatever progeny the zygote is gonna become. Okay, so later on this will become an embryo, this will become a progeny, an infant. So you can find that this zygote, which is this, it is basically not just made of egg or the sperm. So it is the combination of egg and the sperm there. Okay, so that means 23 chromosomes from here and 23 chromosomes from here, which are expressing themselves in their own way, and that's the reason we can find this child which is slightly different from its parents. So and that difference itself we call as a variation. One second. Alright, so now genes are the units of inheritance. So when do we say that the genes are units of inheritance? Any idea on this? So that is because genes are the ones which are actually passed on, that is from one generation to the other generation, and that's the reason we say that these are the units of inheritance. So basically that is the one which is expressing and giving a different body feature, right? And that's the reason, so genes are called as a unit of inheritance. So now genes code for contrasting traits. So that itself I mentioned, so that the alternative forms of a genes are basically the alleles, and these alleles are going to express themselves in a different way, so they are independent way. So now among these alleles, so one that expresses itself. Okay, so now you can find genes are there, so there are alternative forms, so that is the allele. So again in that you can find that one of the allele is expressing itself, which we call this as a dominant one. Okay, so dominant factor or a dominant allele, while the other one is basically a recessive factor. Okay, so why exactly do we call that this is a recessive factor? So that is because it is not able to express itself because the dominant allele is present. So the other one is the recessive factor. Okay, so now in homozygous plants, alleles are similar. Okay, so this is in what? In homozygous plants, the alleles are similar, that is TT and TT, and in a heterozygous plant, so they are dissimilar, so which is basically TT. Okay, so this one is a heterozygous, this one is a homozygous. So this is based on the combination of the alleles or the genes that have done, or the chromosome which is done, so that is through the reproduction process. So now Mendel called the visible characters, so that is phenotype, and the genotype makeup, so that is basically a genotype. So this is the genetic makeup. So overall genetic content. Hi Bristi, good evening. Yeah, so overall gene or the genetic content of the cell, so that can be considered as the genotype, or an not just a cell, so complete individual we can mention. Okay, so that is based on the genetic makeup of these cells. So in that case we can mention it to be a genome as well. So now genetic makeup of an individual or a genetic makeup of a cell is considered, and that we call as the genotype. Okay, so phenotype is what exactly then? So phenotype is basically a visible character or what we call as the basically the physical expression. Okay, so visible character we can mention, or the physical expression. So this can be called as the phenotype. So Mendel called the visible characters a phenotype and the genetic makeup a genotype. Which one you want me to explain, Bristy? Yes, I'll do that. Which one you want me to explain? So genes are there. So genes are basically the units of inheritance. So this is done. Alright. So now out of the two alleles of a gene. So this is with respect to phenotype. Okay. So phenotype you want me to explain. So phenotype is basically, let's say, you are basically mixing a genetic, or let's say you are growing a plant in your garden. Okay. So in that case, now basically you have crossed two of the plant, one short plant and one tall plant, and after the artificial pollination is done, so basically you are producing one new baby plant in your garden. So now you want to know what exactly this is going to be. So whether it is going to be tall just like other parent, or whether it is going to be dwarf just like the another parent. So in that case, when you grow them, you just want to check its physical appearance or the visible character. So whether this baby plant which is gonna get older, like just like its parent, so it is going to grow into a tall plant. So now in that case, if it is growing taller, okay, so that means it is resembling one of its parent. If it is growing dwarf, like short, it is resembling its another parent. So that means what? Now any visible character or the physical expression which is there, so that we call as a phenotype. So in that case, it can be tall, the plant which you are trying to grow, so that can be tall, or it can even be dwarf, or we can say it can even be short. Okay, so why exactly do we say? So that is when you grow the plant in your garden, so you can feel that the plant is tall, the plant is dwarf, so that is the phenotype. Okay, so genotype you cannot see. What is the genetic makeup of this cell or complete individual, that you cannot see. So basically genetic extraction has to be done. So just for calculation anyway, you can just know by crossing, like, so you just take a cross like this, and you try to take the genotype of these particular plants. So in there you will understand that yes, this is the genotype. So that is by making crosses, or otherwise you cannot see the genotype. So here it is a visible character is basically, or the physical expression is the phenotype. Genotype is a genetic makeup which has to be analyzed in the laboratory condition only. But by certain assumptions, so we can just say that this plant is basically heterozygous or a homozygous. Yes, is that clear? Okay, clear. Alright. So now out of the two alleles of a gene, so one is going to be called as a dominant. So why do we say it is a dominant? Because it is super ruling. So what exactly is super ruling here? You're welcome, Bristi. Okay, so now when we say super ruling, so basically it does not allow any other genes to express. Okay, so not all the genes, so basically alleles we are talking about. So gene is having alternative form, so that is the allele. Okay, so there you can find the alleles which are the alternative forms of a gene. So now if this is the allele which is going to express, so that we call a dominant allele or the super ruling allele. So in that case, this allele is there, no, it does not allow the expression of this allele. Okay, so because this is the one which is expressing itself, so that means just like I took a previous example, so the plant is gonna get taller only. So there is no short plant or a dwarf plant. So that is because it is expressing itself, which is basically a dominant one. So in that case, the alleles which are there, the alternative forms of a gene. So now this particular allele is going to be dominant. That means it is expressing itself fully, and the other allele is being suppressed. So that is not expressing, and that we call as the recessive allele. So what exactly is recessive? So you can see the tall plant growing, but the dwarf plant is not growing. So when the two parents get married, so one tall plant and one dwarf plant are getting married. So when the baby plant is growing, okay, so after its certain growth, so it is going to become just like its other parent. So that is tall plant, but not the dwarf plant. So why? Because the dominant allele for tallness is dominating over the other allele, which is not allowing the expression of this short plant to grow as a short, and in that case we call this as a recessive, the other as the dominant. I hope this is clear. So some of the examples are mentioned. So it's not that one chromosome should have only one gene. So you have already seen that it can even have more than thousands of genes. So that means now you can find a gene or a chromosome here. So one chromosome can have n number of genes. It is not necessary that they should have only one chromosome, only one gene. And like this 46 chromosomes are there, 46 genes. So no, not at all. Okay. So in that case, there are n number of genes can be there. So depending on different body features which they are going to express. So in that case, you can find thousands together gene specifically for each chromosome. So this is for each chromosome that I have written here. So like this, we have 46 chromosome. So 46 chromosome into 1000. So there can be 46,000 genes can be there. But anyway, it is not true. Okay. So there is a variation which is going to occur. So there can be. Okay. So there can be chromosome can have 1000, but it is not necessary that always it should have 1000 only, or even lesser than that could be there. Okay. So in that case, this is anyway going to vary. So now this part is a homozygous part. This part is a homozygous part. This is heterozygous and this is heterozygous, because one is capital, the other one is small. Here it is small and this is capital. So this is what? So both of these are heterozygous they are. Now you can see both of them are capital A, so this is homozygous. Both of them are small b, so that is again it is a homozygous itself. Okay. Any doubt? Any of you? Any doubt? All right. Okay, so now genetic constitution pertaining to the kinds of genes possess, so that we call as a genotype. So basically it is the overall genetic makeup of the individual, or we can say that the other basically like we said, so genetic makeup or the total DNA or a gene content of the cell in general. All right, so it is called a phenotype. So that is expressed character or shown character. So now there are two types of genotypes which you can find. So there is a homozygous dominant and then there is a heterozygous dominant. So what exactly is homozygous? So we saw this one. So TT was there. This is AA. This is AA. Then you can find BB. So then you can find RR. So here this RR. So all these are examples of what? So these are all homozygous dominant. Then what exactly is heterozygous? So heterozygous is basically like this. AA, then there is TT, RR. So anything basically, now BB also we can just show like this. So any of these are heterozygous conditions. So heterozygous dominant with dissimilar pair RR. So hetero different and zygous is a pair. So the genotype of non-roller is just one single homozygous recessive pair. So that is RR. Okay. So genotype, phenotype when we mention. So genotype, the set of genes present in the cells of an organism. Phenotype when we mention the observable characteristic which is genetically controlled. So that is the phenotype. So in that case, the expression of the phenotype is basically under the control of genes itself. And that's the reason it is given. Phenotype definition, what you can write. So the observable characteristics which is genetically controlled is the phenotype. The genotype is what? Set of genes present in the cell, that is of an organism. So in whole cell, what all sets of genes you can find. So that is related to the whole organism. So that we call as the genotype there. Okay. Alright. Yes, any idea who is the first geneticist or geneticist and or the father of genetics we can mention. So who exactly is this one? So De Vries, Mendel, Darwin, Morgan. Any idea on this? First geneticist or father of genetics. So whom do we call a father of genetics? So it is always Mendel, right? Yes, it is Mendel. Hi Piyush. So this is Mendel. So Mendel is the father of genetics because he is the one who started about the factors, like earlier he called them as a factors and now we call them as genes. So study about the gene, which in the term, like he just used the term factor instead of a genes. Okay, so in that case he is the one who started giving us, like if this gene combines with this gene, so what exactly is the product. So if a tall plant is mixing with the dwarf plant, what exactly is the product. If blue color flower is mixed with a white color flower, so what exactly is the product. So in that case, Mendel basically is the one who started talking about the factors in general, basically the genes itself. Okay, so an individual with identical allele is, so what is mentioned, an individual that is with the identical allele. So like this, AA, RR, AA, this way also BB. So here this one is called as what? Individual with identical allele. Is it hybrid, dominant, homozygous, heterozygous? No idea? Identical allele. So this is all identical. The one that I have drawn here. So all of this is identical. So that means they are homozygous. Okay, when do we say heterozygous then? So this one is a homozygous. Both of them are same. So this is homozygous, this is homozygous, this is homozygous. Then what exactly is heterozygous? This is heterozygous. This is heterozygous. This is heterozygous. Okay, so one small, one capital you can find. So that is the heterozygous, or otherwise what are these? So these are all homozygous individual. Yes, very good Piyush. So this one is homozygous. Okay, so allele which is unable to express its effect in the presence of another. So what is mentioned here? Allele which is not able to express its effect in the presence of another. So what do we call that? Whether it is a dominant, a supplementary one, a complementary one, or the recessive one. So what exactly is this one? So allele, now alternative forms of genes are there. So there is a allele. So one which is expressing itself, the one which is not expressing itself. Yes, very good again Piyush. The one which is not expressing itself because there is another allele which is dominating the action. So the one which is not expressing itself is the recessive one. Okay, so recessive allele does not express itself when it is in a heterozygous condition, because the dominant allele is going to express itself, and that's the reason this is a recessive. So an organism with two unlike genes of a trait is called two unlike genes of a trait, so that is called as homozygous, heterozygous, both of these, none of these. Two unlike gene, two like genes I already explained, two unlike genes also I already explained. Yes, do you want me to explain this answer? So an organism with two unlike alleles we can mention, or maybe genes itself. So I'll just explain you this. So this one unlike is mentioned. So what is unlike? They are not same. So it is not like this. Like, if this is same, so this is same enough. Both of them are same. So in that case we use the term homozygous. Okay, so now what exactly is mentioned? An organism with two unlike genes. So these are like genes. Now this is two unlike genes. So same way, two unlike genes, two unlike genes, two unlike genes. So that means now this is basically two unlike genes of a trait an organism is having. So that is a heterozygous condition, not at all a homozygous condition. Okay, so this is an example of a roller, and the non-rollers are given. So the mother and the father, so that is women and man, get married, and these are the child that they have got. Okay, so there is a roller, because both of them are rollers here, but they have produced one of the non-roller as well. So how do we do that? So now let's say mother is this RR, father is also this RR. Okay, so this is with respect to father. So let's put up a Punnett square here. So this is RR, this is RR. So how exactly is it possible for them to have a non-roller when both of the parents are roller? Okay, so what is mentioned? Both of the parents are roller, but how this non-roller came here? So we'll do this. So you can see RR, so this is there, so which is basically a roller itself. So this is RR, which is again a roller itself, because there is a dominating gene. So this one is again RR, so this is going to be a roller, and here you can see both of them are RR, that is small r. So there is no tongue rolling capacity, and that's the reason this child is basically is unable to roll their tongue. So why exactly it is unable to roll their tongue? Because the gene which is responsible for non-rolling, okay, so that is expressed in their body, because both of the homozygous conditions have come together, which does not allow the expression. So in that case you can see that RR is there, which is basically the parent was in a heterozygous condition. So this parent was a heterozygous, the other parent was also a heterozygous, and hence they have got one recessive homozygous. One second. So they have got one recessive homozygous. Yes, is this clear? Any doubt in here? Any of you? The same example is mentioned. Okay, so but anyway they have taken it with respect to one of them is roller, the other one is non-roller. But yeah, you can see that there is no formation of this individual. So what is that individual? So now which is unable to express an organism. Okay, so not this one. So this type of combination is occurring. So that means now both of them should have one recessive gene. Only then the recessive genes will come together, and specific feature can be expressed there. All right, any doubt? Alright, so let's have a look at this. And so that is, did you know this is? Alright, so the color patches that are visible on cows. So you might have seen cows which are having, or the horses again. So these are an example of codominance. What exactly is that? Dominance when we mention, or a dominant allele when we mention. So dominant allele is always expressing itself, okay, and the recessive allele does not express itself. So this does not express. So now you know there is no dominant allele or recessive, so both of them are gonna act as a dominant itself. So that is in a codominance, like whatever alleles are there. So this is an exception, okay. So this is an exception that I'm talking about, or the regular thing is going to be the same one. So that is dominant and recessive there, okay. So in this case what exactly is happening is, now both of the alleles are expressing equally. So this is also expressing, this is also expressing. That means both are dominating, and that we call as a codominance. And that is how you can see in cow, you can find white patches, black patches also, right? So just like the picture which is given here. So horse also you can see the patches of those colors, okay. So why exactly do you see this coloration? Like complete black color is also not there, complete white color is also not there. So you can find patches, like patches of black as well as a white. So that is because the black color allele is also expressing, the white color allele is also expressing, and hence we call this as a codominance, and hence the cow is basically having a mixture of colors. So that is black and white. So same with respect to, so here these animals popularly called as the rowan animals, so have two dominant alleles related to the color pigmentation. So now this is also very visible in flowers such as rhododendrons. So in rhododendron also you can find this. So basically you can find a combination of colors, or red and white when you combine, so you can find a pink color flower also, okay. So this is because of the we can say incomplete dominance, or otherwise when both the colors are same. So let's say red color flower is there, white color also is there in the same flower, so it is basically a codominance, okay. So in that case, in some plants the parental color patches may show up in the different parts of the plant. So you can see white color also, you can see the red color also. So that is because both of the genes are expressing themselves, and that's the reason we call that as a codominance, okay. So this one, this is an exception from where? Exception from Mendel's laws. Mendel's law says what? Mendel's law says there is one dominant and there is one recessive. So that is why this is an exception where both of them are acting as a dominant, and that we call as a codominance here. Okay. Hi Prince. So recessive allele is expressed in heterozygous condition only, homozygous condition only, none, or both homozygous and heterozygous condition. Yes, anybody has any idea on this? So recessive allele is expressed in heterozygous condition only, homozygous condition only, none, both homozygous as well as heterozygous. Okay, I'll explain this. So recessive allele is expressed in heterozygous condition, homozygous is mentioned. So when exactly recessive allele expresses? When it is in a homozygous condition like this, okay. So when they are in a homozygous condition as such, so then only you can see the expression of them. So heterozygous condition not possible, both homozygous, heterozygous also not possible, none also it is not possible. Only thing is homozygous condition, okay. So alleles are true breeding homozygotes, different molecular forms of a gene, heterozygotes, and different phenotype. Yes, heterozygous, yes, heterozygous condition only. What is perianth? What is cell differentiation? So perianth is when the calyx and corolla are fused. So you cannot differentiate, okay. So you cannot differentiate, that means this is one, the sepal is not seen separately or a petal. So you just get confused whether this one is a petal or whether this one is a sepal. So such differentiation is not done, and it is a fused form we can mention. So that is called as a perianth. What is cell differentiation? So cell differentiation is nothing but cell division occurs, that a cell is there. So it will divide into two cells. Okay, and now they have to undergo particular function. Okay, so certain cases what they'll do is, so they'll just continue the cell division as it is, so they just go on dividing. Certain cases, after the cell division they go for the cell differentiation, so that means they'll go to work. Okay, so what kind of work? Maybe there is a production of food that has to be done, or mechanical support has to be provided. Okay, so any function or storage function has to be done, secretion function has to be done, absorption function has to be done. So basically after the cell division, so the cells basically start doing their work, so that is called as a cell differentiation. Okay, so they just work. All right, so alleles are what? No idea on this? Is that clear, Prince? Alright, so alleles are the different molecular forms of genes, or which we call as alternative. So this is basically alternative forms of the genes, or the different molecular forms of the genes are nothing but the alleles there. Okay, so we have a batch. So this one is Titans batch. I forgot to minimize this. Just a second. I'll just minimize so that you can see. Okay, so let's see this. So we have a batch. Just a second. Okay, so the Titans batch, which is basically all subject batch, and here the mode of delivery is English. Okay, so maths, physics, chemistry and biology will be covered. So if you are subscribing for class 10, so you will be getting class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free along with this. And we also have a gladiators batch, which is again all subject batch itself. So if you are subscribing for class 10, so the same thing is applicable for this batch as well. You will be getting class 11 and class 12 subscription absolutely free. So in that case, here we have started with the revision. Okay, so this batch, that is for Titans batch, you have a revision starting from July 13th, and we have already started the revision. Yes, you can take up the revision session, and there are basically recordings which are available. You can watch the recordings. Okay, so any doubt that you get, you can just get in contact with the educator through the app or through the telegram link as well. So every educator would pin their telegram link, so you can just have the access to their telegram as well. Okay, so in that case, so this is maths, physics, chemistry and biology will be covered, and here in this the mode of delivery is basically English. Okay, so any doubts that you get, you can just get it clarified during the live classes itself. So that is using raise a hand feature is available, and other than that there is a question tab which is available, so you can make a best use of that, and you can clear your doubt in these batches. So introducing community, so never miss on any update from your favorite educator. Get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator via poll. So check out the link to the educator community below. So again, you will find the link for the community here in the description box. All right, so Bucks Bounty, so this is opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content that is in the video. So be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. Yes, anybody has any doubts? Any of you, any doubts? Is this all clear? Okay, 1 second. No doubt. All right. Okay, so let's see this. All right then, so I'll end this session because you guys are not having any doubt. So if you guys please explain which one you want me to explain, Piyush. Which one do you want me to explain? Because I have like any doubt you have, you can yes ask your particular question, because I have one more session to go after this. So phenotype, okay, so I'll explain it here, just a second. Yeah, so phenotype, when we mention, so phenotype is basically a visible character. Okay, so phenotype is what? Phenotype is the visible character. So now you try to grow something, like you try to grow a plant in your garden. All right, so now when you grow that, so you just put a seed, and when it grows, so you can know that the plant has grown tall, or the plant has grown short. Okay, so phenotype is what? The phenotype is basically a visible character when you just observe it. So that is a physical expression also can be mentioned. So this can also be called as the physical expression here. All right, so genotype is the genes which are controlling the expression of the phenotype. Okay, so in that case, the genotype, when we mention, so there are genes. Okay, so those genes which are there, and these genes, though there are genes in a cell. Okay, so this is in a cell of an organism basically, and these genes are basically controlling the expression of the phenotype, and based on that control itself, the plant is either going to be tall or it is going to be short, because these genes are controlling the phenotype as well. So that is genetic makeup of a cell is called as a genotype. Phenotype, when we mention, so it is a physical expression or the visible character. Yes, is that clear, Piyush? Alright, so any doubts that you have, you can just get your doubts clarified on my telegram. So you can join in my telegram. So that is Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology. Okay, and other than that, you can also subscribe to our channel. So that is Unacademy, ICSE and ISC boards. Click on bell icon to get notified about these session. Like and share the video and download the Unacademy Learners app now. So this PDF, if you need, yes, I can send it on my community or telegram, so you can just text me there. All right, so see you all in the next session. Bye bye everyone. Okay, so it is clear, right? Okay, bye bye everyone, take care. So thank you all. Okay, so see you all in the next